Welcome to Frisco Meetup. Today we will be presenting on revolutionizing B2B transaction using Anypoint Partner Manager. So we have a awesome team with us. So Kiranjot and Himanshu, they will be presenting on this topic, doing a hands-on exercise as well. Kiran, would you take it to the next slide, please? Kiran? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So before we move on, we have a safe harbor statement. As we can see, both the speakers and host are organizing this meetup at the individual capacity. So we are not representing any organization. And this presentation is strictly for learning purposes. So please don't quote us on it. And we don't hold on any responsibility for the solution that might or might not work. So it depends on the individual use case. And by the end of the meetup, we will be uploading this presentation. And in the closure email, you will receive the presentation link so that you can use it for your learning purposes. About Frisco Meetup, so we started about a year ago. We have Lavina Ambani, who is a VP Customer Success, Caelius Consulting, and myself, Anubhav Mangla. I'm an associate solution architect based out of Frisco. Both of us, we have been having frequent meetups from our Frisco chapter. Moving on. So we have two awesome speakers, which will be who will be talking about partner manager today. Kiranjot Kaur, associate solution architect, and Himanshu Sethi as well. Kiran is based out of Frisco, and Himanshu is based out of Chandigarh. So Kiran and Himanshu, you can take it on from here.
Everybody, welcome to Frisco Meetup. Get started. Today we will discuss about APM, Anypoint Partner Manager, key features of APM, and newly introduce some awesome features of APM. We will have an awesome demo by Himanshu. So let's get started. This is about our today agenda. Before jumping straight into APM, let's just understand what is B2B and B2B transactions. So B2B businesses are like exchange informations, exchange goods, exchange services between two businesses, and this all is happening through the B2B transactions. It includes various industries around the world. It includes manufacturing, retailing, consumer goods, life sciences, warehouses, where they are exchanging information on the daily basis. So, as a buyer, I could have multiple seller, and as a seller, I could have a multiple buyer. So that's how B2B whole ecosystem work and exchange the information in the real world. So let's jump to APM. So what APM does? So APM helps you to enable B2B transaction between two businesses in like any format of EDI formats, and or API. The information could be through the API, through could be the EDI formats. And EDI formats could be any format like Artifact, XML, JSON, CSV, and it could be transport through any protocol like HTTP, SFTP, SMTP, or AS2. And we can exchange the information through Anypoint Partner Manager. Let's get deep into it. So you will get into more. So as I explained, it's a bi-directional B2B transactions. We are having the transaction between the buyers and seller with your partners. So transaction could be any type, could be artifacts, XML, JSON, CSV, and XML, and could be on any protocol. So there are key features of API Partner Manager. So just think about one problem as a buyer, I could have multiple seller, or as a seller, I could have a multiple buyer. So if I want to have one new buyer on board to my business, and it without APM or without any automation tool, it could be may take few weeks or few months to onboard one partner to start the business. So with APM, this problem solves in within a day, or within a hours as well. So you can onboard the partner easily, and you can have the transactions started within a day. So also when you are doing transaction between business to businesses, you can track the transaction, you can trace the transaction, where it is in process phase, it is on hold phase, or it is failed. So you can track the transaction with the help of API manager, and you can generate reports out of it, and you can also view the what is the data or metadata you have received in that transaction. You can check the payload, you can mark the payload. I can So if you go to partner manager, it is so easy to onboard partner. You can click on create partner. I'm sorry. So in Anypoint platform, we have a partner manager over here. If you go to dev environment and partners, you can create a partner from here. It is very easy to onboard a partner and specify its identifiers. And if we talk about the message flows, you can send a transaction to partner or receive a transaction from a partner. So it is actually very easy, and you can also trace the activity of your transactions. This would you will get to know the live demo of this the transaction, the end-to-end traceability of the transactions. And let's discuss how APM which approach used by APM to solve this B2B transaction approach. So APM use API-led connectivity. So think about Partner Manager as experience API layer, and it is actually accepting any kind of data, any type of EDI formats, any type of API formats. It could accept artifacts, and it could accept XML, it could accept JSON, XML, CSV files. So in artifact also, there could be a different format and schema depend upon the different geographical region. If you want to have the business started, or a transaction, you want to do transaction other part of the world, it could be have different set of schema for artifacts as well. So it supports all type of EDI formats, and we can process that transaction in process API, and we could send a notification to their communication channel over Teams, Slack, or the communication channel used by an org. So this is the API-led architecture used by APM to support one transactions. I'm talking a lot about EDI transactions. So this is the one of the format of EDI transaction, and it is a transaction where you get the information of sender ID, receiver ID, product details, cost details, and segment details, all kind of information, purchase order details. So this is the one type of format of B2B transaction, that is EDI. Another EDI transaction could be JSON. So you can see there's a receiver ID, message ID, purchase order type, billing order, customer name, or billing shipping address. So these are the transaction type we can process. So as a buyer and seller, we are exchanging information on the daily basis. So there are some few formats we use in the exchange of information. So 850 transaction type we use for the purchase order, and 855 when you get the confirmation of that purchase order. 856 for shipping notice, and 810 for the invoices or payment details that you are getting from your partner, or you are sending that invoice details to your partner. So let's these are the some prerequisite for the APM to set up. You need to have user account and your resource capacity. You have there are minimum vCores you need to have to start the APM. Some EDI knowledge, data transformations you have to have for this to APM started. And let's jump into API architecture so that you could understand the demo better. Okay, so as I told that API manager, think about API manager as an experience API layer. What is internal architecture look like on the back end? So on the back end, if we are receiving information, or if we are receiving transaction from our partner through any protocol, through HTTP or SFTP or AS2 protocol, and we are processing that information internally without coding, with no code actually, and with only the GUI based configuration, we are processing that transaction and pass it to the end customer. So internally what it does, so internally there are 5 APIs created in runtime manager. So once the transaction received at our end, we validate that transaction in document process API, and parallelly we are also saving that transaction in replica service. And where we have payload storage, we can use any storage for the to save that transaction. And these are the two APIs that run parallelly, and then we go to the we are having these are the protocols where we are getting the transaction, and we are receiving in on inbound protocol, and then we are validating and processing and send it to the process API or end customer through SFTP or CDP protocol. These are I talk about the inbound transaction that is coming from the partner, and we are sending to the target system or other customer. Let's talk about the outbound architecture look like. So I am having the transaction or my message save in one folder, or one folder. I want that suppose the invoice message has been saved in SFTP folder, and I want to process that message and send it to my partners. So I send the transaction from SFTP to inbound, validate, replicate, and outbound to the partners. So this is the internal structure looks like. And as I told, there are 5 services running in the behind to have the transaction running end to end. Type of transactions that APM supports is EDI, JSON, CSV, Edifact, and the X12 formats. Yeah, I can pass it to Himanshu to start the demo.
Sure, Kiran. Okay. Hi everyone, I'll just quickly share my screen and start with the demo. First thing we're going to see today is what is the current use case, and then we'll see the more of a technical side on the partner manager. Okay. So can you do give me a confirmation when you can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. So we all usually go to DMart, and we all know there are a lot of products available in DMart, like household products and other products too. But how they internally function, how they order these products is somewhat B2B transaction is all about. Okay. That one business wants to send all the transactions to another business. That is now in this particular use case we are considering DMart wants to place some order to Nestle for, let's say, Kit Kat or dairy products or anything from Nestle. So what happens in this one, we do have some sort of standardization in these particular transactions. Let's say we have EDI transaction, or we can both the parties can came across one JSON, fixed JSON schema, and then that's where they can communicate over. Okay. So in this particular use case today we are going to look at is DMart wants to place an order to Nestle. Let's say asking about 50 Nestle chocolates. Okay, so what they're gonna do is they're gonna send all of their data to Salesforce, and from there, our system API will automatically pick up the data, send it to Partner Manager, and that's where the Partner Manager will take care of all of its transformation and send it to the destination SFTP. From there, the Nestle will pick up that purchase order and do the following processing. Okay, this is all about the outbound orders, because DMart being a source of truth, they want to send the order to Nestle, so that is an outbound. If I talk about the inbound one, so whenever we send a purchase order, in return we do require an acknowledgement from them that okay, we have received the purchase order, it contains some error, or it is a correct purchase order. So that all things comes under purchase order acknowledgement. So that will be an inbound. Apart from purchase order acknowledgement, they also need to send us an invoice so that we can generate the bill accordingly and do the all the other transactions. Okay. So in terms of inbound, if we talk about Nestle is going to send us an invoice through an SFTP server, and that invoice will be in a CSV format. Partner manager is going to automatically accept that invoice, do all the transactions, and again send it to DMart to using Salesforce. Okay, so let's directly jump onto the Anypoint Partner Manager and see first of all uh, what all prerequisites we need before starting these transactions and how these message flows are created. We're going to see that one. Okay, the first thing is our host profile. Okay, whenever any transaction this happens between two parties, that is as we are mentioning B2B, that is two businesses. Okay, so the one business should identify the other business. Okay, I am being a DMart, I am being DMart, I want to send it to Nestle, so I should have a profile, I should have my unique identifier that will represent me. Okay, so that all things is being configured in this host profile. Whenever we log in into Anypoint Partner Manager, the first screen that pops up is that one. Okay, we can set up the identifiers. If we are doing any sort of AS2 protocol, let's say, or HTTP, we can we can add certificates over here. Also, with respect to our endpoints, the endpoints here is essential because these defines the mode of communication through which we are communicating with the partner. It could be, I can quickly show you that thing. Let's say if we want to send to partner. Okay, so what all protocol it supports FTP, it supports HTTP, HTTPS, SFTP. So these are four protocols through which we can communicate with the partner in terms of sending the purchase order or receiving the purchase order acknowledgement. Okay, we can simply configure endpoints over here. We can also stand it because EDI, in terms of, if I talk about partner manager like not only supports EDI, but it do supports other formats also. It has JSON, it has CSV, XML, and Edifact too. EDI, in terms of EDI, so it is Edifact as well as Extract. Okay, so we can define schemas over here. Let's say if we are sending anything to our partner. Okay, we have this thing Extract, we can simply specify the version of X12. Let's say I will go with any random version, 4010. Okay. We can also put the message type. So these are basically some standardized message types which is available in the market. If we talk about purchase order, that is known as 850. If we talk about purchase order acknowledgement, that is 855, and invoice is 810. So let's go with 850 only. 850. Now comes what happens. Some of the organization prefers that, like major of the organization, I would say, prefers to have a standard document type, which is being standardized by a standard organization. Or else, if they have any specific requirement specifically to their organization, they use a custom schema. So we do have the facility in Partner Manager to put this custom schema also. So we can simply choose our file. We need to just add as custom schemas over here. We can put a name to that schema, and that will be done. Then our schema is defined into our host profile. As you can see, we do have multiple schemas like X12, 4010, 855, then 850 VICs likewise. Also, in terms of transactions, we do see a lot of custom message attributes. Let's say I have received a purchase order acknowledgement. It contains I have received an invoice. So it contains the billing amount or the invoice number. That all custom message attributes I can configure over here, and we can see this thing in the later part of the demo where I'll show you the activity tab, how we can see these attributes coming into action. Okay. Next is we can also set the AS2 configurations. We can put edifact configurations. Now, one more thing is here. In terms of Partner Manager, what happens is whenever any transaction happens, okay, Partner Manager only stores the metadata of that transaction which is happening. It does not stores the complete payload, or I would say the incoming request or the outgoing request. For that one, we need to explicitly configure an API known as payload storage API. Okay, we can design this according to ourselves, because in this payload storage API, we need to connect to an external service or external location where we are going to store all these transaction payloads. It could be S3 bucket, it could be Azure, it could be database, likewise. Okay. Whenever the API is created, you can deploy that particular API on any server, it could be on-prem or Cloud Hub, and simply you can come here and configure the URL. Okay. So you need to put URL along with it some additional attributes like, let's say, response, how much you want to retry, like retry intervals, the number of retries. If you have set any sort of authentication, we do have the facility to add that also. And let's say if you are using any sort of certifications, so sorry, certified, it is a HTTPS, it is a CA certified, you have certificate, you have put a SSL certificate there, you can upload it also. Okay. That's one thing. Next thing is our partners. Okay. So as we have seen in this particular flow, DMART would be the host from where the data is coming in, and the Nestle will be our partners. There could be multiple vendors we can configure in one go. Okay. So let's go to this one. This is the place where we can create a new partner. We just need to simply click on create partner and we can define a partner. Okay. So let's say I'll make a Nestle. Apart from that, we do have one company, PepsiCo. Okay. So I can simply put PepsiCo over here. The type, this is again, as I mentioned in the host profile, we need to have a unique identifier, which will be necessary whenever we perform any sort of transactions. Okay. So right now I can give any of the identifier. We do have facility for AS2, Edifact, reference ID, X12, GS. These are two different segments of EDI X12 messages and ISA. So let's pick up a random identifier. I'll just say so. So this is a profile of the partner which is created now. So Partner Manager is designed in such a manner so that not only technical person but the business persons can also business stakeholders can also view the profile, see all the details and configure them accordingly. Okay, this is, I would say, there is no coding as such in this one. Yeah, Flow may have that, but in terms of creating a new partner, anyone can do that. This is just a simply, I would say, click and go. Okay, so also we can add the description of the companies. Let's say this company do so and so operations. We can put their website link, and we can also choose a logo. Okay, we can also add their address of their particular office. We can put a contact details over here, because whenever any EDI transaction or any B2B transaction happens, usually we do have a point of contact which through which we usually contact. Okay, I am sending a message, you can simply check it on your end, okay, whether you have received that message or not. If anything happens, if any sort of error happens, we can simply contact this person. So these all details are necessary whenever we jump into industry standards. Okay, so yep, I have added this one. If I put a logo will represent, logo will come here. I can set their unique identifiers. Also, if I'm trying to make any sort of AS communication, I can add a certificate here. And as we have seen the endpoints on host profile, we can also make endpoints or mode of communication with respect to the partners also. Let's say I do have an SF, I want to make an SFTP connection with the partner that is just specific for Pepsi, not for any other company. Okay, so I'll simply do receive from partner. The protocol would be SFTP, and then I can put the host details, port, username, password, and accordingly the folder path, likewise things. Okay. For this particular demo, I have already created one of the partner, that is Nestle. Okay, as we have seen in the usage chart that DMart wants to communicate to Nestle and send out a purchase order. Okay, so you can see the about the description about Nestle, their websites, and the unique identifier for particularly for Nestle. And also whenever we perform these Excel or EDI Edifact transactions, we these are some standardized I would say transactions that happens between two businesses. We can also set their uh, validation rules. Okay, whether we want to have let's say we want to have some segment as not null, we can simply check box here, and that segment will, like, whenever any segment comes as null, it will fail automatically. So that's why we set up these validations. We can also put a control number, like validation on control number, that EDI usually have an interchange ID, a unique identifier for that particular message. Let's say I'm sending a PO, I'm sending a purchase order out. So that purchase order number is PO01. So that will be a unique representation for that particular PO order. Okay. And whenever I'm going to send again the same transaction, then it will fail. So that's why we usually keep these validations active. Also, we can set the character sets. If we want to receive any special characters in our messages, we can set it over here. The same goes for Edifact. We can set the validation as well as acknowledgement settings over here. Next thing, let's jump onto the message flow. We have created both the ends. We have the host profile ready. We have the partner ready. Now we can create a message, and we can create a bridge between these two organizations. Okay. For that one, there's two, as I mentioned, there's two ways to communicate. One would be an outbound thing. That's where DMart is sending in and sending a purchase order to Nestle, and one would be an incoming order or incoming invoice that would be received from partner. So let's first go with the send to partner thing. Whenever we select this one, we need to select the partner name from, like, whom which we are trying to communicate. Okay, so let's go with the Nestle one only, or I'll select the PepsiCo as this is the recent partner. Let's say if there is no partner as such, you haven't created any partner profile, you can also create it from here. We have a new button. You can simply create a partner from here also. Okay, let me go back. Send to partner. I have selected a PepsiCo. Okay, so the basic message flow is ready now. We need to define the mode of communication, that is, which will be the starting point, which will be the ending point. what is the message type they are trying to communicate on, and if there are any sort of schemas, transformations that will come over here. Okay. So source at Caelius Consulting, it means because we are sending it to partner. Okay, so we need to define that which mode of communication we are the source, that is Caelius is going to receive the message, this partner manager is going to receive the message. Let's say I have created an HTTP endpoint. Okay, so I do have a protocol source at HTTPS. I can simply put a description. This endpoint is responsible for communication. If you are using, if you have a VPC setup in your server, you can simply select that it will there are some backend applications which will get deployed into inside the inside the VPC. If you want to manage it using the API manager, you can simply checkbox this, enter an instance ID, and it will get managed by the API manager. Then comes the URL. Whenever we deploy this particular message flow, this URL will automatically get generated, so you don't have to do anything in this one. Next comes the base path. So it could be partner specific, or you can leave it like that also. Next comes the authentication type. So let's say if I want to put basic authentication on this particular endpoint, I can simply put the authentication timing. I'm just keeping as it is, the name, password. Okay. My source endpoint is ready. Now I have to select what message type I'm going to accept from the source endpoint. Okay. So time being, I'm considering JSON, or standard would be, let's say if we go with JSON, we need to put a JSON schema over here. Let me check if I have a JSON schema with me. Okay. Yep. I do have JSON schema. Okay. So these JSON schemas are usually is a sort of validation that is put at the incoming level, that whenever we receive a message, these all fields should be there, and the segments that we have defined should be in a proper format. The length of the segment should be proper. So that's where it is. Also, whenever we send any message, there are multiple identifiers that uniquely identify that message. I'll just quickly show you one message. Let's say this is one JSON message that we usually going to receive from DMart, and it is going to send to Nestle. Okay, so you can see we have uniquely identifier attributes available in this one. Receiver ID as Nestle, what is the sender ID, message ID. So these all needs to have a mapping in the partner manager, and that's where we put a reference mapping. So let's say if I reference mapping, I can simply save it. Now mapping is also done. Okay. Next thing is our reference ID. So as we haven't set any reference ID for PepsiCo, that's what it's saying is missing identifier. Either we can go to that partner profile and add it there, or else we can simply create a new identifier from here also. Done. And let's say this one. So this uniquely identifies this transaction that it is happening between PepsiCo and DMart. Next thing is, now we have received the JSON data from the source of truth. We need to map it as what the destination accepts. Okay, so let's say JSON to EDI. As I want to send the destination would be an EDI message. I can simply create a data view. Then I need to select a message type, and it would be X12850. These are some more additional things that partner manager do provide. If we want to accept any functional acknowledgement, we can simply checkbox it, and then we need to provide the endpoint on which we want this function acknowledgement. If not, we can simply uncheck it. We want to set the identifiers. Say DMart, PepsiCo, and I'll put identifier for this one also. PepsiCo, create identifier. Okay. So one more segment is completed, that we have defined the message type in which what would be the destination message type. Next comes the mode of communication for PepsiCo. That as I've seen shown in the diagram, that I want to send this purchase order in SFTP. So this would be an SFTP connection now. PepsiCo send to SFTP. Okay, I already have configured this one. So yeah, this is done. Okay. Now this message flow is very straightforward and very simple, and if you want to customize in any manner, you can simply play with the data v, or you can change the message receiving message type or the destination message type. Once it is done, we simply need to click on deploy, and the application and this particular message flow will get deployed to Cloud Hub or on premise based on where this partner manager resides and what is the configuration, that initial setup that is done particularly for this partner manager. So if I click on deploy, let's say this is my first this and I'll quickly deploy. The initial deployment usually takes time, like it could be 5 minutes, it could be 1 minute, depends on the sometimes server capacity and capability. So we'll keep it like this only, and I already have two messages created. One is 850. So we are sending a purchase order to Nestle, and that is again we are sending it in a JSON format, and the in the SFTP it would be an EDI. So it is JSON to EDI actually. So this message is already created in the server. I'm just gonna run it through Postman and show you how it works. Okay. So this is my JSON message that I'm gonna send. It contains all the information about what all items we want to buy. Like if I go over here, you can see the item description is coffee. I want to buy coffee. Particular unit price is 250 per unit, and the quantity that I'm placing is 50. Okay, so I'll just simply trigger this. It is accepted by the partner manager. If you activate the function acknowledgement, you can see the acknowledgements coming over here. Let's go back and see. So the last transaction that happened was 8/9, and currently it's 22/13. So you can see 10/13. Yep, I have I have received this transaction. It is even delivered also. So the transaction was successful. Okay. Before showing the transaction, this is the activity tab where you can see all the transaction that is happening, whether it's failed, whether it's processing, delivered. You can even if any transaction have failed, you can replay the transaction, and also you can check the source and target payload from here. Okay. So if whenever you see any message, you can simply click on that. This is the transmission ID. This is the message flow that we have created particularly for this transaction. Then we on the left hand side we have the source. Then you can see the date time, that okay, we have received this message on this time. This is B2B purchase order 850, and we have received in the JSON format. What was the source endpoint? It is the mode of communication was HTTP, and also we can see the source payload. So the source and target payload, when we can only see whenever we have configured payload storage API, because these payloads are stored into an external, I would say, destination. And right now we are using Azure Blob Storage to store these payloads. Okay, so you can see, as I have shown you, the item description is coffee, unit price 250, and the quantity is 50. Okay, and the target payload, definitely it would be an EDI message, because what we are trying to do, we are trying to convert this JSON into an EDI and send it to the partner. So yeah, here's a EDI message. You can see coffee, uh, DMart has generated it, and it has been sent to Nestle. So yeah, this is basically a EDI message, and there are multiple segments available in EDI which defines a unique what should I say, which defines a unique segment. Each and every segment has a unique value, and it represents a unique thing. If I talk about the first segment, uh, it has the name, the source, the destination, on which date it is performed, and a unique identifier which defines whether who is sending and who is receiving. So these are all some details which is present in EDI message. Okay. Also, we can see the identifiers that we have set over the host and partner profile. And let's say if any transaction fails, you can simply click on the transmission ID and you can check the flows, because the point of failures could be multiple. It's just not the partner manager, or it's just not the internal APIs. Let me just show you a diagram where it clearly defines what all could be the points. So yeah. So this transaction can fail at any point. Like it can fail at partner manager also, it can fail at process API also, and it can fail at system API also, because MuleSoft has the API-led connectivity architecture. So whenever you are communicating with the end systems, usually it can fail at any point. Okay. So recently, Partner Manager has introduced a new feature that is called replay. Okay, we can simply click on replay and we can replay the same transaction if it is failed. Okay, I'm going to show you how it like how we can perform that too. So in this transaction, what happens is we have sent a purchase order to Nestle. Now we need an invoice back from them. So they are going to send this invoice into the SFTP, as you can see in the diagram. They're going to send it to SFTP, and partner manager is going to automatically accept that. Okay, so I'm just going to simply put that into SFTP now. I have this inbound for Nestle, and that's where I'm going to upload invoice. Let's say Nestle invoice. Okay, this is just a basic invoice which I have created particularly for this. I can quickly show you this invoice. Let's say, yeah, this is the invoice which contains all the details about whatever transaction has happened. Going back to this one. So right now I have dropped the file to SFTP. Partner Manager is going to automatically pick up that file and do the processing. So if I refresh it, let's just wait for a second. Okay, let's start it. Yeah, we have received invoice from Nestle, and I can show you what invoice we have received. We just open this. So what we have done in this particular message flow, this is 810 actually. Yeah, invoice CSV from Nestle. So we are receiving an invoice in a CSV format, and we are sending it to one of the target system APIs into a JSON format. So if I go to runtime manager, see, one transaction came up at 1080. Okay, so that is how it is done. Okay, next thing is the replay mechanism. Let's say if any transaction fails, so how we can replay it. So for that one, I have to stop the backend system so that I can fail this particular transaction. So I'll just simply stop this. has stopped. Okay, I'm going to perform the same transaction again. Just quickly refresh it. Inbound, Nestle. Yeah. Okay, I've uploaded the Nestle invoice. Let's go back to the partner manager, refresh it. So internally, what happens is this partner manager has a scheduled frequency of 1 minute. Every 1 minute, it runs a scheduler and pulls the file from the destination. This is the previous transaction. Yeah. Okay. So now you can see earlier it was straight away delivered, but now it is in processing state because in the backend, what it tries to do is it try to connect with that in with the destination API that I shown you, B2B partner API, and the partner API is actually down, so it is not able to communicate with that. And internally, what it do is it retries 3 times to make sure the connection is established. If not, it is going to fail that. So it usually takes time. Till the time we can, what we can do is we can simply see the APIs that gets deployed whenever we deploy a new message. As Kiran mentioned, we have multiple APIs that gets deployed. One is document processing API, which is completely responsible for all the transformations and all the EDI message transformations. Next comes the replication service, which is responsible for storing all the payload. Ultimately, when I show you that payload storage API, which it internally communicates with replication service and sends the payload to an external service. Then we have inbound APIs and outbound APIs, depending on what all mode of communication we have set up, like it is HTTP or if we have SFTP, then it will automatically creates a new API in the backend. Okay, and you can see the B2B payload storage API also over here. Okay, so next thing is, let's see, it usually takes time. So till the time, Kiran, we can just check the Q&A section. If anyone has any questions, we can answer that.
Yeah, I'm taking those questions.
Okay, sure.
Uh, Francis, I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I hope. So your question is that uh, the control M is an agent and which is exposing SFTP endpoints to manage or schedule files between SFTP endpoints or embedded SFTP agents. So if it has any exposing point, any exposing parameter, if it is a server details or API details, we can configure those details in API manager and exchange information via that endpoint or any configuration detail or any server details. I hope it helps. Yeah, correct. Needs to orchestrate from other system expose endpoint. Correct, correct.
Okay, till the time it is getting failed, I can show you one more thing. This partner manager can be deployed over Cloud Hub as well as on premise. So where we can do the initial setup, that I can show you over here. So you simply need to go to the access manager, access management. That's where you have the business groups, and you can simply click on partner manager. Okay, so this is the place where you can configure your partner manager. You can set the region on which region you want. If it is a cloud hub, you can set it to cloud hub. If it is your on-prem, you can add a server group over here, and along with its details. If you want to make it as a specific runtime version, that is fine, and but usually it is the best practice to keep it as latest versions. Okay, you can set a region over here, and internally what happens is these the 5 APIs that I've shown you: the document processing, replication service, inbound, outbound, and payload storage API. These APIs do not communicate through HTTP. It usually communicates through MQs, Anypoint MQs. That's why you can see the Anypoint MQ region over here, and which will be similar to what we have set as cloud hub region. Okay. Next comes the initial vCores of these APIs, that is document processing service and API replication service. If you want to deploy it, like by default deploy it to the VPC one, you can simply checkbox it. And what should be the core capacity of the other applications? Let's say you have deployed a message, okay, a message flow. It contains two applications, inbound and outbound. Okay, so at that place you can simply define the 0.1 week if you want, what all capacity you want from this. So this is one. Next thing, I'll just go back and see if that is failed or not. Okay, it is failed, and we can check why it is failed. We can simply click on transmission ID, delivery attempt to endpoint HTTP partner API was failed with error unknown. So it means simply whenever it was the destination API, we have forcefully stopped this application. If not, if there is any other error, you will see over here also. Okay, so next thing we can do is we can simply turn on this application, start this API again, and once it is active, I can simply click on replay button and confirm it. And see, so this is the original message which is actually replayed, and a new message will soon populate over here. Okay, and it will try again. So yep, that's all about the partner manager. Kiran, do let me know if I missed something. I can explain that.
We cover almost every Q&A, and we can jump into trivia if nobody has any other question.
Sure.
So let me know once my screen is visible.
The Anubhav is visible.
So everyone, please pull out your phones. You can scan the QR. Alternatively, I've posted the link in the chat. We see people coming. We are 21 here. Let's give Give it another minute. We have a lot more folks than what we see here. So those who have not joined, please join the Kahoot. If you're having any technical challenges, please feel free to post in the chat. Okay, I think we can
We can
start.
start and yeah.
So this is, so you'll have 20 seconds to answer it. Which of the following is our valid transport protocol in APM? AS2, HTTP, HTTPS, SFTP. And this is a multi-choice. Okay, all of them are correct. So most of the people got it. Scoreboard, Diljot is on the top with 3616 point. Janajit on the follow-up. So what is the maximum number of transmissions that one can apply? One can replay in a single request. Feel free to answer. The correct answer is 100. Let's see how many people got it right. Diljot again on top. Same order. So here comes the last one. This is a true or false. Does APM store the B2B payload data? So out of 6, 4 people answered it correctly. The answer is true. It does store B2B payload. So with the, here are the results. Janajit being on top, followed by Diljot, and then Priyanshu. Well done. This proves that you have been listening to the session. So I think we are good. We can stay back for a couple more minutes if you have any questions for Kiranjot or Himanshu. But we keep on posting, so please subscribe to the chapter so that you get periodic updates around the meetups that we'll be having in future. And we will be sending the presentation as well as please send us an email if in case you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks everyone for joining.